Hello, I'm EG and this is Crocheting with EG. And in this video I have a make. I made another cane cover and I'll show that. And then I did get some yarn from Goodwill. I gone into Hobby Lobby. It was one of their shipment days, and a spoiler alert, I didn't get the yarn. I missed out on it. And it's like I haven't gotten any yarn from Hobby Lobby on their shipment day since before the ice storm and everything. And I had missed out on that cart when they finally got a shipment in, and I missed out on the whole cart. Or I felt like I did, and I was just telling myself that wasn't yarn that was going to be clearance, but I missed out on that cart, and then I missed out on this one too. So, but I'm going to be talking about the day that I went in there like 3 times looking for it. I'm like waiting for it to be clearance, and I actually did get a picture of it and stuff, and I'll kind of talk generally about like how I'm trying to keep it fun for me, like the hunt for the yarn and stuff, because like going in there and seeing the cart is making it a little less fun when I miss out on it. And so I want it to stay fun, like the hunt for the yarn or whatever, and I want it to continue to be a surprise, but I did miss out on that cart. And there's like one skein that, like, I mean, there was some really nice skeins in it that I missed out on, but there was a really nice skein that I hate that I missed out on. But anyway, but I did get some yarn at Goodwill, because when I was waiting for them to clearance the yarn at Hobby Lobby, I went into Goodwill and they had some yarn. I couldn't believe it. And so I got some yarn from Goodwill, and then something else from Goodwill and all that. But this is just gonna be like basically the yarn haul, and then I'll show my make first. But it's basically gonna be a yarn haul, and then sort of talking generally about the whole Hobby Lobby clearance yarn hunt or whatever, and I'm trying to keep it fun for myself, because it has been really fun, and like knowing when the shipment day is, and it scored me a lot of yarn. But at the same time, knowing what I missed out on is what's making it a little less fun, and I want to keep it fun because I love the hunt for the yarn. But whatever. And so I'll show the make first. It's really nice. And so, like I said in my last video, I wanted to I used that Antique Teal. I just made a little tiny thing. I already pulled it out, but I wanted to see what that teal worked up like. It was I love this yarn, Antique Teal. This is really deep dark teal color. It's really pretty. And I started a little swatch, or like a little prototype, for a Christmas tree skirt. And so I thought I want to use that yarn to do that, because I just needed a yarn to make a little prototype. And so I used that yarn. I thought I need to make a cane cover out of this because it's so pretty. And so I did. I made a cover for my cane with that Antique Teal, and it turned out so nice. I love this. I'm probably going to end up making like 400 cane covers or whatever, because they're turning out so nice or whatever. I'm using my EG stitch, and I'm just using the same pattern that I came up with. It's just like how many rows and all that, and how many stitches per row, and then I just sew it up, like just make a really long panel, and then I sew it up almost all the way to the top, and then I add 2 chains on either side, and then that's how I tie it on there. And I never go down to the very bottom, because I'm afraid it's going to go underneath the cane. But they're turning out really cool, and it's just kind of fun to accessorize my cane or whatever. And so I did make that, and that gorgeous Antique Teal color. But anyway, so that's the make. And because I use that Antique Teal, I thought maybe when I make the chain for Jody Belton 625 for her super thanks, for this super thanks. I do love this so much. I know it looks utterly ridiculous, but I love this. And so I wanted to make her a little chain because she gave me another super thanks. And so this is your chain 10 for J for Jody Jody Belton 625. So I made your little chain. I made it out of that Antique Teal or whatever, because I had it sitting here, and I thought I'm going to make the chain in that. So I made a little chain for you, Jody. So thank you. Super thanks to you. So I added that to this, and I do need to hang this up in my room when I reassess it and all that. But I do love this thing. But I'll do that in the future whenever I redecorate this room and reassess it and put away all my ridiculous yarn hauls. Speaking of, whatever. Oh, this is kind of stupid, but when I pulled my cane cover off of that, like the Picasso Rainbow cane cover off of my cane to put the new one on, I loved how it looked, like just the cane cover, like it almost looked like a rainbow snake or something, with these little things hanging off of it. But it's just like a completely random thing. But I did love how this looked. It's going to look really cool, like having all these cane covers. And like I don't know what to do with them, or like where am I supposed to like hang them up, or like I don't know, or maybe I could get like a little basket or something, or I could always make one with yarn, but like get a little basket to put these in, almost like an homage to like the baskets that those snakes are in or whatever. It'd be kind of cool to like have all these snake looking things in a basket or in this room. It's like, oh no, these are just cane covers or whatever, because I'm going to end up making all kinds of these. I know it. So anyway, the day before the shipment day, I went into Hobby Lobby, and they had a couple skeins on their cutting table, and I thought, oh, that's a good sign that they're going to be clearancing some yarn and stuff, because you know, usually when they have some extra skeins, they'll pile them there on the cutting table, and then they end up in the cart or whatever in clearance and stuff. And so I got a nice picture of it. It's probably like maybe 10 skeins or whatever. There's a couple variegated and a couple plain colored or whatever, but I thought that's a good sign that those skeins are piled there on the cutting table, and they're going to end up clearance and stuff. And so then I went in the next day on their shipment day, and they were still working around in there and stuff. And so then I left, and so that was like the first trip. I made 3 trips that day. That's not my record for how many times I've gone into Hobby Lobby looking for a clearance yarn, but I went in there one time, and then like I said, when it's one of those shipment days and I feel like they're going to be clearancing yarn, I like to stay out, so I don't have to like drive all the way home and then drive back and drive home and drive back. So when I know it's a shipment day and they're working around putting the new yarn on the shelves and stuff, and I'm hoping that they're going to have clearance yarn and stuff, I'll stay out and go to different places, you know, like Michael's to check to see if they have anything, or like Goodwill, or you know, Salvation Army. I just like to stay out so that I can pop back in a couple times before I go home. And so I went to Goodwill, and luckily, because they had some yarn, and they had a really nice like flat plastic box. It's a hefty box, like the brand name, I mean, like one of those nice plastic boxes. This one was $20, and then they had a pretty nice size bag for $25. So it was $45, but at the register I'd reached my 100-point limit thing because of previous purchases. And so, like I said, in my store, when you reach when you spend $100, or for every dollar you spend in Goodwill, you get a point, and for every 100 points, you get like a $5 credit off of your next purchase. And so I went through there, and it had reached the 100 points, and so I got $5 off of this. So this was only $40 for this nice yarn. There are some really nice yarns in here. And I'll start with this bag first. I mean, it's a pretty nice size bag, and a lot of really nice yarns in here. A lot of them are from Hobby Lobby, ironically enough. So I did get some Hobby Lobby yarn this week, just not from their clearance. And so I mean, it's been like and a half since I got clearance yarn from Hobby Lobby. But anyway, so this is just filled with all kinds of really nice yarns, and some brands that I've never even heard of. And there's some that they're not all new or anything, but I mean, there are some that are new in here. Oh, let me start with this this make from somebody. But whoever had this yarn, they started. What I'm assuming this is one of those bandana things that people make. I'm assuming, because it's kind of triangular, and it's not finished on this one row. And I looked it up, and I feel like this is the shell stitch, and I want to try to at least finish this one row. I'm not going to use this as a bandana. I look like a freaking idiot with this on, but it's really pretty. And so and what's really great about this is it's using that it doesn't have the label on it, but I know that this is that Soft Secret, the Yarn Bee Soft Secret from Hobby Lobby. And so it's just, so this is what the bandana looks like. Isn't this pretty? I can't believe how pretty this is. And that has to be the shell stitch, because I looked it up, and that's what it looks like. So these shell stitches. And so all I have to do, see, it's all the way to right here, and it just feels like it just needs a couple more to get to the end here. And then I'll tie it off, and then just like I'll keep it as a pretty little, I'll probably use it as a little doily or something, because I'm not gonna, here, I'm not gonna put this on, but I'll show, like, I'm not the kind of person to wear a bandana, or I mean, if I used to wear a bandana, but not one like this, you know what I'm saying? I look really stupid in this bandana, but whatever. I mean, it's really pretty and colorful and stuff, but I'm not gonna wear this bandana, so I'll use this as a doily, because it's just so pretty. I mean, the colors in this just match perfectly. There's this variegated kind of a Soft Secret, and I don't think they make this colorway anymore. There is some of that in here, and I feel like it's discontinued. It's really pretty, because they don't have many variegated Soft Secrets, or at least in my store. I didn't really look on their website. Maybe this exists on their website or something. But there's this variegated colorway, and it matches these solids perfectly. Like this sort of blue color, and then this kind of lime green. Lime. I dug down in that bag just to get this lime. That's what I said. It's like a lime green color. And so there's a whole skein of that, and then this practically looks like a whole skein. And so there's this too. And so I'll use that just to finish it. I'll do this shell stitch or whatever, and hopefully I can figure out what hook. I'm sure they use the recommended hook size, which I think is a 4.5 or 4 or something. Yeah, 4.5. Or no, wait, that's the knitting needle. Like, this doesn't even suggest what crochet hook size to use. Like, was this just supposed to be knitting yarn? Because it only has, like, the knitting hook, I mean, a knitting needle, I should know, a knitting needle. It only suggests a 4.5 millimeter knitting needle. Yeah, none of these soft secrets do. I'm sure that the soft secrets I have do. I think it's probably a 5. It's either a 4.5 or a 5 millimeter crochet hook. I'll have to look at the ones I have on my shelf. But this is obviously not knitted, so it is crocheted. So I just need to figure out what crochet hook to use. Now, I mean, all I need to do is do a couple of those shelf stitches on the corner to finish it off and make a pretty doily out of it. But that's just like somebody else's make. And again, I sort of feel weird like keeping other people's makes and like displaying them, because not that I have like, you know, people over all the time, like, oh, I'm gonna have a dinner party and invite people in my yarn room. No, I don't have a whole lot of people over here, but it just sort of feels weird to like buy somebody else's crochet and then display it when I'm a crocheter and I have all this yarn and all of my makes everywhere. I don't want it to ever look like, oh wow, this is really pretty, how did you do this? And it's like, oh, I bought that, you know, at Goodwill or whatever. I don't want to take credit, even if it's just like to one of my friends. I don't want to like give, or I don't want to take credit from somebody else's work. If I display it with all of my stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't matter. Like, it's a problem that it's never gonna even be a problem, because I would need, you know, a whole bunch of friends to come in here and walk through or whatever. That's not my life. All my friends are like, you know, other places. They barely even come to this town anymore. But you know what I'm saying. But it is really pretty. I do want to finish this and display it. But so there's that thing. And so there is the Yarn Bee Soft Secret in the color lime, and then this one without a label. And there might be a couple more in here. But this is the variegated skein. It's called it's Yarn Bee Soft Secret. It's called Sea Breeze. Yarn Bee Soft Secret Ombre, and it's called Sea Breeze. It has a really pretty teal blue and that lime green in it, and then kind of an olive green in it, and a really dark teal in it too, a light blue. It's a perfect yarn to pair with these other ones. But see how pretty this is? I don't think this exists anymore, because when I was looking in their Soft Secret one time at what kind of variegated colorways that they have in my store, that they did have that kind that's a kind of pastel that I used to make that like ribbon thing that I put around my mom's flowers, that I gave her the one that, like the pastel colors. And so then they have that, and they have a couple other ones, but I don't think they have this anymore. So why did they get rid of this? And then the thing I really saw when I saw this bag was all this dark teal color. It's the Yarn Bee Soft Secret in the color blue teal. This gorgeous blue teal. I love this color. And there's a bunch of them in here. So there's 1, 2... yeah, so 3 of those, that really gorgeous dark teal color. And there is another one of these in there, that Ombre, the Sea Breeze. So there's another one of those. And then there's another one of the lime that's brand new. And here's this blue color. Aqua is the blue. I think, yeah, that the blue in this is called Aqua. Really nice aqua blue. This obviously was the skein that they used, because it's not a full skein. So there's that one, and another Aqua, and another Aqua. I don't know. There's a lot of this yarn in here. Was this supposed to be a bandana, or I can't imagine they bought all this yarn for a bandana. Maybe this was supposed to be like a shawl or something. I mean, that would have made it a really pretty shawl. Maybe that was supposed to be a shawl, or like putting it around my. I just like set on my chest like this. It was supposed to be like one of those bib kind of bandanas or whatever you wear on your neck like this. No, maybe it was supposed to be a shawl or something. That would have been really pretty, but I'm not going to make it into a shawl. I'll probably use this yarn for other things, but really pretty. And the fact that there's a lot of this dark teal in it, when there isn't any dark teal in this yet, maybe they were going to incorporate this dark teal in it too. Or I mean, a blue teal, whatever, because it matches too, all these different colors. So maybe that's and now I'm like trying to figure out like some investigator. I'm a yarn investigator trying to figure out like from all these yarns like what they were trying to make. I don't know, but because there's so much of this, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4 Sea Breezes, and then 1, 2, 3 of this Aqua, and then 1, 2, 3 of the lime, and 3 of the blue teal. That's way too much for like just a bandana, unless they were going to make a whole bunch of bandanas. But that would have made a really pretty shawl. But I'm just probably not going to make that unless the shell stitch is really easy to do, and this isn't any more complicated than just like continuing that stitch, you know, over and over and over, and it just like expands and expands. And this wasn't some like very specific pattern that where where if I got to a certain point, I would need to know the rest of the pattern. If I could just use shell stitches, it would be really pretty as a shawl, like all these different colors and stuff. I don't know, it'll just depend on how easy the shell stitch is and how many projects I have in my life to do. But it would be really nice to finish this. My mom would love this if this was a shawl, but I don't know how complicated it is, or if it is. I mean, it looks basic enough where this can't be like a specific pattern that I'd have to buy like the very specific pattern for this, because like all down here the shell stitches look the same, and then like on the corner looks a little different, but it looks the same going down here. So I don't know, maybe it would be easy enough to finish that. I don't know. I'll have to look into like a shell stitch shawl. Maybe it's like a basic kind of pattern, and I can try to finish it sometime. I don't know. But either way, I'm going to keep this as it is, and it'll either be a doily or a shawl for my mom in the future or something, or for my niece. She may like this too. I don't know. That's all those Soft Secret yarns. And then they had a Vanna's Choice in here. It's from, Lion Brand, I think. Yeah, Lion Brand Vanna's Choice, Vanna White yarn. And it has the old label, so, but it's really nice and squishy yarn. Her yarn is so nice. I just wish she had variegated colors. And so this is the color Lemon. And so it is like a lemon yellow. But a nice full skein of Vanna's Choice yarn. So that's kind of cool. And then a mainstays. This feels like some of it's gone, and it's just like a lime green, or it's called green. And so a skein of that. And then this is just like a generic yellow skein, and it doesn't have a label on it. And a really nice squishy yarn though, nice and significant. I don't know what brand it is, of course, but. And then this, obviously there's a lot of it gone, but it's a Red Heart Super Saver in the color Real Teal. This is a gorgeous teal color. Like, this is what I was talking about. I mean, it's a little darker than the blue teal, like the Big Twist or whatever, that sapphire color. It's a little darker than that, but I bet the sapphire in that Big Twist and this would have paired well together. Speaking of, now I'm thinking of my glow throw, and because one of the big skeins that I missed out on in that cart at Hobby Lobby was one of those big teal skeins that I used for my glow throw, that I mixed with the peacock with the sparkle in it, and it was one of those big like Crafter's Secret acrylic skeins. I missed out on that, but I bet if I paired this yarn with the sapphire color from Big Twist, it'd do that same kind of effect. But this is a really pretty color too, and so see, like in the camera, why I have a crappy camera, obviously, but I don't know why. Like every single time I try to show like a really pretty blue color or like a teal color, it just comes out kind of green. But in person, it's a really vibrant kind of bluish teal color. And so I wish I would have known about this color, because like I said, when I was making my niece's blanket that I made her out of that Red Heart polo stripe, every time I got to like a bluish teal color, I said it would be nice if Red Heart had that skein in it, like had that color in its own skein. But this feels like one of the shades in that polo stripe that is perfect to be by itself. But I've never seen this in my store. Of course, the only Red Heart I've seen is Walmart, and they have a very small selection in my store. But if they carried this, I probably would have gotten this a long time ago. But there's only like a little bit left in this. So there was that. And then there's this random ball. I don't know. It's kind of like a coral pink color, and it's really nice. It's a little thin though. I don't know what kind of yarn this is, but it feels a little thin, thinner than a medium 4 weight. It's probably just like a thin medium 4. And then there's a random scrap of green yarn, and then a skein. No, it's not the same green. This one feels a little more, it doesn't matter. This random scrap, it doesn't matter. And then there's this green. This is a little bit more vibrant than that other green. So it feels like almost a full skein. It feels a little bit like Red Heart. And then another little random skein of Red Heart Super Saver yarn. The color Pale Yellow, if you even care about this little tiny little scrap. There's that. And then this is from Berroco, B-E-R-R-O-C-O, Comfort Sock. So it's like sock weight yarn. This is so soft. God. It says it's 50% super fine nylon and 50% super fine acrylic. Really nice, kind of like earth tones, like browns and oranges and some white and olive green and a little bit of a purpley pink, and but really nice soft sock weight yarn. I do like the feel. Like every time I've felt sock weight yarn, I do love the feel of it, but it is really thin. I mean, this is obviously, I don't know if they have like a super fine one. So sock weight yarn is really thin, and so I don't see myself crocheting with like really thin yarn like this. I mean, I'm going to crochet with it, but I mean like by itself. I don't see myself sitting around like knitting socks or whatever. But I do like the idea, even though somebody's probably watching this that just loves this kind of thin yarn, and they're probably thinking, oh my god, you're going to waste the potential of that, your really nice thin yarn to do something like that. But it feels like this would be the perfect kind of yarn to mix in a solid yarn and use it as one strand, and just to add some extra color into like a solid. Like if I have some generic skein, but like let's say I wanted to use this yellow, and I guess it would kind of go, but let's just say they matched, and I wanted to use this yellow, but this is just like sort of a generic color. Like I would think if I use this really thin yarn and mixed it with this, it wouldn't create a whole lot of bulk, like adding, you know, 2 medium 4-weight yarns would do, and then I could add some color to like a very plain kind of skein, because I do love variegated colorways and stuff, and more than like the solids. I do love the solids, but like I would prefer like the variegated colorways, and it would kind of make this into like a variegated color. But at the same time, I know it's sort of wasting the potential of, you know, this really nice thin yarn. Like the whole reason people buy this kind of yarn is to make something that would be really soft or really thin or whatever, like, you know, socks or whatever. And then I'm going to think, oh, I'm just going to mix it with another yarn and turn it into something else. But it's really nice and soft. And then there's another one. It's the same brand and the same comfort sock. They don't have colorway names on these. It's just like the numbers. So like, you know, color 1831 or like whatever. And so, but this one is a lot prettier than this one even. And so, but it's the same kind of feel and everything. But it has purple and blue and orange and yellow and just all kinds of really pretty colors. Like, see, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, yes, this would make like really pretty socks, really nice, thin, comfortable, soft socks or whatever. But, you know, at the same time, look how pretty these colors are. Like, I could take a solid color like this and mix this with that and create like my own like variegated colorway, and it wouldn't add a whole lot of bulk or whatever. And so I just feel like, because like, look how thin this yarn is. Like, I can't imagine sitting around with a crochet hook and the way I crochet and how impatient I am, and scatterbrain all over the place, and I have all these projects and stuff to get to. I can't see myself sitting down with this and taking my like a tiny little crochet hook, or learning to knit and you know, knitting or whatever. But like taking my tiny little crochet hooks and like knitting something really delicate. That's going to take, you know, 2 weeks to make a pair of socks with this, which would be nice and everything. But I just think, for me personally, I would have a better use out of it if I mix this with another yarn, because it would add, you know, color without adding bulk. So that one was in there. And then this one is from Cascade Yarns, a distributor of fine yarn. I've never heard of them. I've actually heard of Barocco or Barocco, where I've gotten some of their yarn in one of my other hauls from Goodwill. But Cascade Yarns I've never heard of. So it's Cascade Yarns Heritage Prints. And this is a 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. I never would have thought this was wool, because of how nice and soft this is. This is what their logo looks like. I've never seen that yarn before. But it is really nice and soft, in spite of the fact, I guess because it's, you know, superwash merino wool. But the colors in this, there's like red and kind of like a very, very light tan and blue. It almost has like American colors, but there is some green in it too, kind of like an olive green. So it almost looks a little Americana with a little bit of green in it. But it's a really nice yarn. There's a little bit of gray in there too, kind of like a bluish gray in there too. But there's that skein. And then this is just like a random ball. I don't know what kind of yarn this is. It feels kind of like mandala or whatever. The way I've said it sort of feels almost like a really, really thin, almost chenille kind of yarn. If you've used that mandala before, it kind of feels like that. And like, it's not really splitty at all. It just sort of has that same kind of feel, but I'm sure it's not what it is. But it kind of like a minty green, and like down in there it looks like a little bit of a light stone blue down in there too. But just a little random ball of that. And then there's a little scrap of this. This is really cool. It's like this pink color, but it's kind of wavy yarn. It just feels like regular soft acrylic, but it has a little bit of a waviness to it, so that's kind of neat. Just a little scrap of that, whatever kind of yarn that was. And then this is just a skein of white without a label on. I don't know what kind of yarn that is. And then this, I was disappointed when I felt this, because it looks really pretty. I've seen some yarn like this before where the twist is really prominent and it's kind of noticeable. And this is a really pretty white color, even prettier than this one. This is a little ivory-ish white, but this is like a really vibrant white color. But this feels really awful. I don't know what kind of yarn this is. Like, it's not. It doesn't feel like wool. It just feels like kind of scratchy acrylic, or like scratchy and kind of stiff. It's just sort of weird how it's a very odd feeling yarn, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Maybe put it with my yard sale stuff, but they can't all be good in these hauls and stuff from Goodwill. But this is really pretty. This is like an ivory skein of yarn, no label on or anything. And it's kind of messed up here, so I'm gonna have to untangle this if I ever use this. But it's really nice and soft and like an ivory white color. But it's messed up here, the ball. Unless this is another ball. No, of course it's not. So it's the same ball, but it's just kind of messed up, so I'll have to fix that sometime. And then there's this skein, Lion Brand Wool Ease, and let's see, a soft, warm blend of lamb's wool and easy care acrylic, because it is really soft. It does have wool in it, I mean, you can tell, but it's actually really soft, though, and it really nice and squishy. And so it's kind of like this caramely brown color, or just call the color gold, and so it's really nice. But this is really soft, and I've felt some woolies before that doesn't feel very soft, but this actually does feel really soft. And then there's this yellow. This feels a little scratchy. This may go with my yard sale stuff. Plus, it's really thin, and it's almost like a lime green mixed with the yellow. It's just a little, or like, I don't even want to say it. You know what kind of yellow this is. I'll try to be nice and say it sort of feels like a watered down pickle juice color, but you know what color I'm talking about. It's very odd feeling, and it's kind of thin, so I don't know if I'm going to use that or not. But and then this one, this is from Universal Yarn, Bamboo Pop Sock. So this is really nice, and there's another one in here too, but they're different colorways. But this is from Universal Yarn. Is that a good yarn? It feels really nice and soft. I mean, this feels like it's probably some expensive yarn. If it's expensive yarn, don't tell me. No, but it does feel really nice, and it's like one of those donut balls, and it feels brand new. But this is super fine. So it's probably like a one weight, and then it's 55% bamboo and 37% cotton. I never would have thought that was cotton, how nice and soft this is. But these are really pretty colors. So this one has all these really vibrant colors. Yellow and pink, and different shades of pink and green and purple, and a really nice, really soft yarn. And this one has more like muted kind of, what's the word, like jewel tone colors. It's sort of like the jewel tone version of this. These different shades of blue and green and some pinks and oranges, and yeah, but we're kind of like jewel tone shades of colors. And so these are really nice. God knows what these cost original price. These are probably worth the price of all this yarn alone, I'm sure. To be in like this nice donut ball and have this really fancy label coming off it and stuff. Even the little string that's holding it on there is kind of sparkly. Because God knows what these cost original price, but these are really nice. And then there's some, I love this cotton in here. Really pretty colors too. There's one of these that is the color Woods. So it's like an ivory color. It has all these speckles in it. Kind of green and brown speckles in it. So there's one of those. But then there's a bunch of these colorful ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if all these are the same. Because like they are sort of indistinguishable. This may have left a little scrap in there. I'll have to put it with my stuff to make another yarn to layer. No, these are all the same colorway, although maybe it's a dye-lot thing. But some of the purples in these are different from the other skeins. But these are just a color bright. You know, I love this cotton, the color brights, and so all these really pretty colors: blue, green, yellow, pink, purple, like every color you can imagine are in these. So those are really nice. And then there's a little scrap of black yarn in here, just a random scrap, and then a random little scrap of green that is probably going to go in the yard sale bag or something. This feels kind of scratchy. And then this, I don't know what colorway this is or what yarn or what brand this is, but this is really nice and soft. It has like a dark blue and purple and white and green, and do you recognize this colorway? Do you know what brand this is? But it's really nice, and it's like that squishiness that some of the Hobby Lobby yarns have sometimes. But this obviously isn't Hobby Lobby yarn. But it's not. It feels more like it feels substantial too. It's not just like squishy. It's actually really substantial and really nice colors in that. So that's yarn in the bag. Now I'm trying to do the math, like how good of a deal it was, because like these skeins, these are, it says $3.79, but these are $3.99 now. As I'm filming this, these are $3.99 regular price in a Hobby Lobby, and I get them for 99 cents because I only buy them 75% off. So I'm thinking, okay, so this is worth like 99 cents to me. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this one makes 6. So that's like $6. And then all these soft secrets, I usually buy them for $1.25. Although the ones that are higher priced get clearance to like $1.49 sometimes. So, but let's just say like, you know, $1.25. So, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are probably worth more than that because these are really nice, and they're probably discontinued. 3, 4, 13 of those. So, you know, so those are worth like $16. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. $22 just for the Yarn Bee Soft Secrets and the I Love This Cotton, plus all these other skeins, and God knows what these were original price. And then, you know, Vantage Choice Yarn, so that was a really good deal for that bag for $25. Even if you do like the clearance math like I just did. They're probably worth more than that because most people aren't used to getting clearance yarn like I do, or I used to. No, but just a really good deal for all this yarn in this bag, and this too. This is going to be fun to, you know, figure out what to do with this. So that's the bag of yarn. That was $25, and then this tub thing. This was $20, and like it was worth the price just for this plastic bin alone. But a really nice plastic box full of yarn. And the thing about the yarns in here, like I almost didn't get this because when I opened it up in the store and was looking at it, I thought there's a lot of wool in here, and yeah, it feels, some of it feels a little scratchy. It's for Bernat. The wool is. I mean, there's probably some other. There's like patons in here too, or batons, or however you say it. But there's some Bernat wool in here, which I didn't even know they made wool. But it's 70% wool and 30% bright nylon, and yeah, it's a little scratchy. But I went ahead and got this because, like, even though this is a little scratchy, and it's going to be a little scratchy to work with, it's not as scratchy as like that Red Heart that I used to make my teddy bear sweater. And I know that wool, when you wash it the right way that you can wash it, it does soften up. Because I think some people in my comments have said before that you know, wool softens up when you wash it, and so I just feel like, even though this is a little scratchy, and it's going to be a little scratchy to work with, this was too pretty to not get just because it's wool. I mean, there's a lot of these little skeins in here, but they're so pretty, and because they're kind of sparkly, and I mean, they're not like, they don't have like a metallic strand in it, but they're kind of shiny in like a sparkly way. They're these like little teeny tiny skeins, but this is from Bernat. Is Bernat frosting. There's just a ton of these. Like, see, this is what this bin looks like. All this yarn in here. I mean, it's just like jam-packed with this stuff. And so all these Bernat frosting, like this is the color Ruby Frost. And so there's all these, there's a little bit of a purplish pink in there too, but it's mainly like these different shades of red and pink. And yeah, it's a little scratchy, but God, look how pretty and sparkly. Hopefully you can see the sparkle in that. That's why I thought, I don't care how this feels. It's too pretty to not buy. I can figure out something to use this for, because there's just so much of it, and I can't resist. Like, I'm not one of those people. Any kind of sparkly thing. I love jewels and glitter and all that kind of stuff. I love glittery, sparkly things like this, and so I had to get this. So there's 1, 2, 3 of the root. There might be more in here because there's a whole bunch. Four of those so far. And then there's this color. It's the same, you know, Bernat frosting, and this is the color Mood Indigo, and this has different shades of blue and purple. Look how pretty that is. That looks like those pictures of like space and the galaxies, like, you know, or the sky at night when you are like in the desert. I mean, I live in the city. I never get to see, you know, skies like that. There was one time when a hurricane came through here and knocked the power out for the whole area, and I got to see like the stars, you know, like the sky without all the light pollution or whatever blocking it. I got to see that one time, but I never got to see a sky like this. But you know, those pictures of the sky, and where you can see part of like the Milky Way galaxy and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like those, all that kind of stuff. I'll stumble on my words like every other word that I say, but then all of a sudden my speech issues will clear up like that, and then I'll say like, you know, 15 words at once. God, and they'll actually be where you can slow it down. You can hear every single word. But otherwise, I'm just a stumbling mess most of the time. But all these are pretty blues and purples. It kind of looks like the sky at night that you wish you could see where you live, but you've seen in pictures. There's 1, 2, 3. 3 of that one. When there's another one of these, no, this is Mulberry Frost. So this isn't. So these are Ruby Frost. This is Mulberry Frost. This is even prettier than that. God, I mean, God, these are just so pretty. Okay, so these are the same as this one. So there's 1, 2, 3, 6 of these, and that might be all of them. This one's Mulberry Frost. So this is more like a purpley kind of mix. See, this is like the ruby, and then this is the Mulberry Frost. Kind of a reddish purpley mix in the Mulberry Frost. So there's a bunch of those. And then I think there's just one of these. This one is called Bronze, like, you know, golds and browns and stuff. A really pretty yarn. Like, see, I'm not really crazy about the feel of this, but God, how can I resist how gorgeous this yarn is? I mean, I can't wait to figure out how to use it, because it's going to be a little hard for me to use, just the feel of it on my hands, but I will figure out how to use this yarn because it's just too pretty not to use. And this one is called Platinum Frost, kind of like blues and grays, like a blue and gray mix. So there's 2 of those, and then there's one of these. This one's called Creme de Mint, or I'm sure it's like creme de menthe, you know, but I'm like creme de menthe because I'm from the South. No, but it's really, it has some teals and greens and stuff in it. Really nice mix. I wish there was more of this one, but there's only one in here of this. But really a nice one. It's probably my favorite one. I do love that ruby one too. Oh, and this one too. And the Galaxy. See, I love all these yarns and stuff. And then when I saw this in this bin, like, I immediately thought of my niece, because it's like a black and purple mix. Hopefully you can see the colors. So it's like black and purple. This just screams Wednesday. Like, it's a wonder there's not a label around here that says, like, you know, Netflix Wednesday yarn. Like, I mean, it's exactly the colors of Wednesday. Like, there's not much yarn in this, but this would be the perfect kind of yarn to use to make like a little doily for my niece to put in her playroom somewhere, like on her shelf, like where her Wednesday stuff is, or something, because it's like the perfect Wednesday colors, and it would complement her Wednesday collectibles in there perfectly. So there's that. I don't know what brand it was. And then there's this purple thing. This feels like something that was caked up by somebody else. It sort of feels like especially the way the cake is, like it was caked up on one of those machines or something. And it has a purple and light, like a dark purple and a light purple mixed together. It's really thin though. This feels like a 1 weight or 2 weight or something. Not even a 2 weight. Oh, it's not even. Oh, what is that kind of yarn where it's I forget the word, where it's obviously multiple strands together, but they don't twist it. It's like the yarn that's not twisted. Like, if you pull this off, see that the strands aren't even twisted together. I forget what that word is. I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments. But like, it's that kind of yarn where it's multiple strands, but it's not twisted, and so you can actually pull them apart. And of course, it won't be hard working with it, because I'm used to using multiple strands of yarn at the same time, and I just, you know, hold them as if it's one. But I forget what that's called, where you actually buy yarn like that, and it's just not twisted. But it's a really pretty purple color, a little tiny skein of a really thin yarn. I guess it would be perfect to, you know, again, like mixing this with another yarn. There's some yarns in here that I want to do that with anyway, and so this would be the perfect yarn to mix with something else, to add a little bit of purple without adding a lot of bulk, and because it's already divided, it's already, you know, split, it's not really twisted around each other, so it just feels like the kind of perfect yarn to mix with another yarn, like a black, you know, purple and black. That maybe I should make her 2 doilies. Make her this one that's already mixed together, this, you know, a dark purple and black, and then use this and mix some black in it and make her another doily for her. Why am I making doilies and stuff? Like, as if I don't feel old enough. Now I'm like making little doilies, like some stereotypical old lady or whatever. Just like crochet my little doilies. But God, I love it. I never thought it'd be like making runners and doilies and all that kind of stuff. But God, I do love how they look all around this house. But whatever. And another reason why I bought this bin is because there were a lot of these in here, and it's from Highlight Excellence by Nomis, Nomis. I've never heard of them. It's 94% acrylic and 6% metallic, but it's like, it's really thin black yarn. There's some white in here too, but it's really thin yarn that it has a metallic strand around it. But I love that it's really thin yarn, because like I've said, I love mixing black with vibrant colors, and I love like metallic yarns, and I love that Hobby Lobby has those little tiny cakes of like a metallic strand that you can mix into things. I've mixed it in all kinds of other things. So I love that this is like, you know, both of those in one. It's like, you know, black like I love, and it's a metallic strand, which I love, and it's mixed together, but it's also really thin that I can mix with other yarns without adding a lot of bulk. And so it's like the perfect thing. Like, I wish the stores sold stuff like this all the time. Like sort of, the reason why I love that sport weight yarn is because of how thin that is, and it's really easy to mix into like thicker yarns and stuff. Like this, it feels a little bit thinner than a sport weight yarn, but why don't they sell this in the stores? This is really nice. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of the black in there. and then they had some white with the silver strand in it. So there's like the white that's like that. So 1, 2, so there's 8 of those. So this is the white with the metallic strand, and it's really thin. I can mix in with other yarns, and the black too. And so these are such nice finds in this bin. And so those are like the ones like that. And then all the rest of these are just kind of random. The eyelash yarn that was getting caught in that skein. This is from Phildar, P-H-I-L-D-A-R. Phildar International. It's called Confetti. And so it's kind of like an eyelash yarn in a way, or I guess it is more like confetti because it's not really eyelash. It is kind of reminds me of that that yarn that I got that has little. It almost looks like New Year's Eve confetti got caught in some yarn or something, but it has like really small pieces of confetti, and it's really pretty and interesting kind of yarn. It doesn't feel awful or anything, and again, like this sort of feels like mix-in yarns. I know it's not. That's not what it is, but like this feels like the perfect kind of yarn that you could mix in with something to like take a regular kind of plain color like this and then mix this in, and it creates all kinds of interesting elements to it, like all this kind of eyelash stuff and different colors, and it just feel. I know that it's probably not supposed to be like a mix-in yarn, but that just feels like what I can use it for, what feels like it is in my head, and so like all the colors in it, it's just like, you know, pinks and blues and yellows and all kinds of like rainbow colors, really nice. And there's so there's 5 of those little donut ball things, and there's no colorway. It just says color 10. So I don't know, but there's 5 of those things that I'll use to mix into other yarns. And then this is just like an interesting little thing. I don't know what kind of yarn this is either, but it's kind of wavy yarn. And it's kind of like a baby pink with some white mixed in it. So really nice little I don't know what I'll do with that. And then there's some of this yarn. This looks like a full skein, and this is a full skein. This looks like some of it's gone, but from far away, it kind of looks like that, like heathered yarn, and it's kind of twisted around. It's like a dark brown and kind of a goldish color, and then a light tan color, or like an ivoryish color. And so there's this. I don't know what brand this is. Does this look familiar to you? Really nice. It's really nice and soft and squishy too. So I don't know what that is, or what it's even made out of. And there's this little ball of something. This feels like the perfect kind of yarn I could mix in something like a pastel. It's very light, kind of icy pastel, and I do love the icy pastels because it's so subtle. It's not like, you know, vibrant. Like the vibrant pastels just kind of scream Easter egg, you know, or Easter colors to me. But this is like a really. I wish there was more of this. It's just like a tiny little bit of it. But a really nice icy pastel mix. Just like a little tiny scrap. And then this one is from Sirdar. Is that same brand, or no? Phildar and Sirdar. I don't know. Sirdar, S-I-R-D-A-R. Wash and wear Aran. Yeah, this is 45% acrylic and 40% nylon and 15% wool. It feels like it has some wool in it, so it's a little scratchy. It has like these different shades of browns. That's just like a random skein. This is at Patons or Patons, or I don't know how you say that. This does feel scratchy. Like I gotten some of that Patons, like, and it still feels like that. I've felt this in I think Michael's has some, and it does feel kind of scratchy. I think this is the brand that somebody said that if you make something with it and you wash it, it does soften up, but it's a little, like, this is scratchy with the wool, but like this is soft compared to this. This is really scratchy and just not very, like, I want to use this before I would use this, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this almost feels like yarn that I just want to put with my yard sale stuff. But I mean, and plus they're just kind of basic colors, and like the ones that I have that I'm going to put with my yard sale stuff that have like the really vibrant colors, like those were devastating to think I'm not going to use those because they just don't feel very good. But these I don't really care about because they're just kind of like, you know, basic colors, like some gray. So there's 2 of these. It's Patons Moorland, Moorland, and so all wool double knitting. So it's just like a gray color. That'll probably go with my yard sale stuff. This one, Patons Beehive, Shetland Light. This feels a little better than that, so I may keep this. Let's see, it's or 75% acrylic and 25% wool. Maybe that's why it feels a little bit better, because it does have a lot of acrylic in it. So it's just like a black skein of that. Patons Beehive, and then this another Patons Beehive, Shetland Light. It is really nice and soft, in spite of it having wool in it. So I will keep these. I probably won't keep these because it's just awful. I just don't like that. This is just like a white color. And then this is another Patons Beehive, Shetland Light, and another one that's actually soft. This is kind of like a burgundy color. Or another Patons Beehive in that ivory color. So there's 2 of those. It does feel soft. I'll keep that. And another one, so that's number 3, so I'll keep that. And then there's 2 more of these Seardar. This one feels like some of it's gone. I'm going to put this with the yard sale stuff too. It's just it's like a nice ivory color, almost not variegated or tweedish, but it's not just a simple kind of ivory color. It has a little bit of like flecks of color in it, a little bit variegated, but that's just scratchy. I don't like that. And this one is gray, or no, it actually is kind of variegated in a way, or it has a little bit of, I guess, like subtle tweed in it. There's a little bit of a, I don't even know if you can see it. It's really subtle. There is just like a little bit of a tweed look to it, like some little flecks of stuff in it, but they're real subtle. But it's just, I don't know, like the feel of it. And then there's 3 of this. Is called Sheep Jess, I'm sure I'm butchering whatever the name is, SCHEEPJES, fanfare yarn. It's really nice. I'm sure this has to be acrylic. Yeah, 100% acrylic. Really nice, kind of a pumpkin orange. Does this have a colorway name? If it did, it would say pumpkin. No, just a number. So there's that, and there's a second one, and then a third one. And then this is, see, like, somebody must have had a yarn cake. Oh, God. I'm embarrassed to even say it. I was about to say yarn caker upper. One of those, you know what I'm saying. One of those things that, like, winds up, a yarn caker upper or a yarn winder, for God's sake, a yarn winder. It feels like yarn that was wound up on one of those yarn winders, or a caker upper if you're an idiot like me. But this yarn, and this feels like the same yarn. This feels like that same kind of purple yarn where, like, did somebody take the strands like this and make their own, or did it come like this? But this feels like, let's see, 1, 2, like 4 strands that are like that, where it's not twisted at all. Like, what is the name of that yarn? I know I've seen it in the video somewhere, that people are talking about it, and but I can't remember what it's called, where it just comes like this, where you can actually separate them out really easily, but you use them as like one strand. What is that called? But there's a big cake like this and a small cake that were, wound up on a yarn winder upper, or whatever the hell I said. And so that's all the yarn. And then, like I've said, Goodwill sometimes just like throws a bunch of random crap in bags or whatever, but like there were 2 random things in this bin, like, and it just sort of feels like, I mean, maybe the person that had all this yarn had this down in the bottom of this, and it just happened to be given to Goodwill like this, but it just sort of felt like Goodwill got these 2 random things, and they didn't have another bag to put it in, or they didn't have enough stuff to put in a bag, so they just thought, we'll just throw it in this bin with all this yarn. Like, it doesn't go with this yarn at all. So there's like My Little Christmas, which feels like it's from Hobby Lobby. I like just the look of it. Yeah, down here it says Hobby Lobby. Like, I can tell that just the fonts and the aesthetics that this is from Hobby Lobby. But these are these little ornaments. I could put them on my Christmas tree, but, like, you know what I'm saying? It just sort of felt like it was, thrown in here, but just because they could they had access to it, and they thought, well, we'll just like throw them in here. But these little deer, like little deer ornaments, I don't know. I'll put them on my Christmas tree. And then this thing, a Pro Fezion key guard. Tag mate for car key and air tag. Like, what the hell did that have to do with anything? Why the hell was that in there? I don't even know what the hell this is for. It protects car key cards and stores and protects air tag, and, like, I don't know. I'm such a Luddite. I don't even know what the hell this is. Like, I know what a car key is, but what a key card for? It must be for some really expensive car or something. That I don't know. But this will go with my yard sale stuff too, I guess, because I don't know what the hell to do with this. But it was just in the bottom of this bin or whatever. But so that was the yarn. So all of that for $40. It was like such a good deal. And so it also made it a little bit easier that I missed out on that yarn at Hobby Lobby when I knew that I had gotten this the day before. But like I said, like, what's bothering me is not that the fact that I missed out on yarn at Hobby Lobby, because I'm sure I've missed out on yarn plenty of times, or like deals in general. Like, thinking about it, I'm sure that all kinds of really nice stuff has gone through Goodwill, and I've missed out on it, or like, really good movies that I've been wanting for years. I'm sure they've gone through my pawn shops and people have bought them, and I never got a chance to even see them. But I don't care about that. I don't care that I've missed out on deals and yarn and stuff. But what's bothering me is the fact that I know exactly what it is that I missed out on. it's one thing to sort of generically think, oh, I missed out on a deal, or I missed out on yarn, or I probably missed out on yarn, or like whatever. But it's the knowing that it's kind of bothering me, and making, like, I want to keep this whole yarn hunt, you know, really fun. And so what's getting unfun about it, other than the fact that I'm going in there and the employees are like noticing me, like, I'm not used to being noticed when I go into stores, and it's just weird to like go through a store and people actually recognize me as like the guy that gets all the yarn, and then I go through the line with like something else, and it's like, oh, no yarn today, like that kind of stuff. I mean, they're perfectly nice and stuff, but like I'm just not used to being noticed like that, or like having to engage in conversation with people. When you're somebody like me and you're not a social person, you know how uncomfortable that is. Where sometimes it feels like when I meet up with a friend or something, it's like I have all these conversations in my head, like, you know, trying to prep for the conversations, because like I know that I'm going to be uncomfortable in any kind of social situation, and then when somebody starts talking, I need to make sure I have something ready to say. And so I have to anticipate, okay, what are we going to talk about? And what would be a good thing to say if she says this, or if he says that, maybe I should say this. And like, if you're somebody like me, you know what that's like. I can't just like, I get a phone call, I'm in town, you want to meet for coffee? Oh yeah, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Like, that would never happen with me. Like, I need time to prepare for, you know, any kind of social situation. So that's what I am. I mean, that's how my personality is. So it's just very like alien to me to be in this situation where I'm going into stores all the time and people are engaging in conversation with me and actually recognize me and notice me and say like, oh hey, back again today, or like that kind of stuff. It's getting a little uncomfortable in that aspect, but you know, I'm still going and getting the yarn. But what's really making this like a little less fun than it was is the knowing. I mean, the people that haven't gotten any clearance yarn, that haven't gotten the chance to go into their Hobby Lobby and had as much luck as I had, I've had finding all this clearance yarn, are probably thinking, you know, oh God, that's what you're complaining about. At least you get all the yarn that you get. And I'm glad that like knowing when they're going to have clearance yarn has helped me score a lot of yarn and stuff. But at the same time, it just sort of feels like knowing when it's going to be there and actually seeing it before it's clearanced and then missing out on it is making it a little less fun. Because before, if I missed out on yarn, it's like I wouldn't know about it, or I wouldn't even know what it looked like. But because I know all that stuff now, because I know when it's probably going to be there, and I can go in there enough times where I actually see it before it's clearanced, and it's just like sitting there, and actually get an opportunity to walk over and take a picture of it, and I can look at it later and look at all the skeins I have. I mean, that's sort of an interesting thing, but at the same time, it makes it a little less fun. Like, I wish I could go back in time and not know that stuff, even though it scored me all kinds of clearance yarn and stuff. I just wish I didn't know to the point where I know now, because or what I need to do is when I go into the store, I just need to like focus on the remnants and just like look there, and if it's not there, then I just need to, like, even if I'm just like living in denial, I'll just say, oh, they just don't have any clearance yarn today, oh well, and like walk out, even knowing that if I just even look to the left, I would see a cart over there, knowing that it was going to be clearance and stuff. It would just be so much easier for me to just like look at the remnants and look for the yarn, and if it's there, I'll get it, and if it's not, well, they just don't have any. Like, you know, lie to myself in my head, just like, oh, they just don't have any. And then if I go the next day and it's there, it's like, oh, what a surprise, what a shock, and just act like I don't even see the yarn. And also, this is because I didn't get any when they had the ice storm and the snowstorm, because, you know, it messed up the shipments or whatever. And then they finally got a shipment in, and then I missed out on a whole cart. And then I go in, and then they had another cart, and I actually got a really good shot of it too. And I also knew that they were going to have some yarn, because they had some on that cutting table. And then the next day I went in there, and I saw that big cart, and it was full of nice yarn. And they had like one of those big Crafter's Secret in the teal that I love, and I have plenty of that the peacock color that I could have mixed with it and made all kinds of things with that, you know, glow throw yarn and stuff. So like knowing that it was in there, and then going in the next day and it was gone, like every single one of them. It's making it a little less fun. I wish I could go back to when I would just pop into Hobby Lobby, and it would be like this shock. Like, I'd walk in, oh my God, there's more yarn. I don't understand this. Like, how many times did I say that in old videos? Oh my God, I don't know why I'm clearancing all this yarn. I was like, walked in, and there was like, you know, 15 skeins in the remnants. Like, this is crazy. I don't get it. Like, I wish I could go back to that, where it was like more of a surprise, and I didn't know exactly when they were going to have yarn on clearance and all that kind of stuff, because it's not fun like seeing the cart and getting a good shot of it and getting a good look at it or whatever, and then feeling like I missed out on it. Because like I said, there could be all kinds of deals going through all these thrift stores and Salvation Army and pawn shops, and I'm sure I've missed out on all kinds of things. But like it's different if I went into my pawn shop today and I saw that they had like a Lucy doll that I didn't have. They had like the Ethel and Fred Santa. That's a whole conversation for the future. You know, complaining about that. If you know, you know. Let's say they had that in the store, and I said, "Oh, can I get those dolls?" And they said, "Oh, we're not going to price them today. We're going to price them tomorrow." And I thought, good. And I had all this anticipation building or whatever, and I thought, "Oh, good. I'm going to go in there tomorrow and I'm going to get those dolls." And then I walk in there, and then they're gone. Like that's what would make it disappointing. I'm sure that all kinds of things have gone through pawn shops and Goodwills and all that I've missed out on, but it's the not knowing that makes it easier. So it's not the knowing that I missed out on a deal that sucks. What sucks is knowing exactly what deal it is that I missed out on. And so that's what is making it a little less fun. And so what I need to do, and what's also helped this, is what I need to do is I need to just go in there and just act like I'm not going to find any yarn. And then if I find some, it's going to be like this huge surprise. And if I don't, then, you know, it's like, well, they just don't have any. But it's helped that I haven't gotten any clearance yarn from them for so long. That they've had those 2 or 3 weeks when they had the ice and snowstorm that, you know, messed up their shipment, and then they finally got a cart and I missed that, and then the next week they got a cart and I missed that too. And so it's kind of helping me feel like what I need to do is just try to, even if I have to just live in denial and just like tell myself lies or whatever, I just need to, you know, act like I'm going in there and I don't know that they're going to have yarn. I mean, I know that they're going to have yarn on their shipment day, but I can at least go in there and just keep my vision focused on the remnants and nothing else, and then I'll walk in there like maybe just one time and see, like maybe at the end of the day, because like they hardly ever clearance it like right in the afternoon when I go in there, and it's usually like they're putting the yarn on the shelves and stuff, and then sometimes they'll clearance it at the end of the day, and sometimes they'll wait until the next day, and that's usually when I miss it, because I'm not going to drag my ass out of bed at 8 o'clock in the morning just look for yarn. I'm going to go in there in the afternoon, and so what I need to do is just like maybe go in there one time during the afternoon, or like right before they close, and just avoid it during the afternoon, and just act like just, even if I'm just like living a lie, just acting like, oh, they're not going to have any yarn and stuff, and maybe I'll pop in before they close, and maybe they'll have some yarn, shockingly, just surprisingly. And then if I walk in there and they have it, I just need to focus on the remnants, and if it's there, I'll get it, and if it's not, then it's just like, oh, well, I guess they don't have any yarn. And don't even like walk near the yarn, don't even look to the left, don't even look over there, because I don't even want to see a cart, because just like looking at that cart is what's devastating about it. Or not devastating, you know what I'm saying? It's just, that's what makes it a little less fun, knowing exactly what you missed out on. So I just want to keep this whole yarn hunt or whatever fun, and just knowing what I missed out on is just making it a little less fun. But anyway, so I went to Goodwill and I got that yarn, and they also had a net. And what was funny is I mentioned that in a video where when I was thinking about adding storage to this room, and I was thinking like, is there where do I get one of those like nets or whatever that you can put in a corner or whatever? Because I was thinking like it would be kind of neat to have like one of those like stuffed animal nets like my niece has at her house, where like you could stick it in a corner and I could like put some yarn up on top of a little net or something. And then that's when I went into Michael's and got that little net bag. But I was going through Goodwill, and after I got that yarn, and they had one of those things, and it's called a toy hammock. And easy storage for all your toys. This is only $2.99, but it's one of those things that goes into a corner. It's like a toy hammock, and it's like this little net thing. But it didn't have any of the hooks with it, so I'll have to get some hooks or whatever for it. But I see it's kind of triangular, so like this goes into the corner, and then this goes on like one wall, and then this goes on the other. And this would be the perfect thing to put over my washing machine, because I need to put like something up there, like far enough where if I open my washing machine, it's not going to like bang any kind of shelves or whatever. And I thought this would be the perfect kind of thing to put over there. And I don't know what I would put on it. Maybe like some of the plush yarns or whatever, because they're really big and thick and obnoxious, but they're not really heavy. Or like like the yarns kind of like this, like the ones that are for scrunchies and all that kind of stuff. And maybe not those velvet skeins, the ones that the Bernat crushed velvet. Those are really heavy skeins. But like the ones that are like this. like these, you know, baby bee, adorable. Like this is big and obnoxious, but at the same time, it's really light. And this would be the perfect thing for putting these skeins somewhere. And so I'm going to put that over there in that corner when I reassess this room and reorganize it and everything. And I think it would probably clear a lot of shelf space here if I moved all of the yarns like this, and like even those little tiny velvet skeins that I gotten at. I'm always doing this. Like I've noticed, I'm like, not only do I talk with my hands a lot, I'm noticing I'm starting to do like this sort of stuff. It's like weird. I'm watching myself back when I'm editing, and I'm thinking like, what the hell did you just do with your hands? Whatever. I don't know. God. I know I shouldn't laugh. There was if you heard the ambulance go by, I was thinking, like the joke in my head that I was about to say was, well, at least it's not going to pick me up, you know, after somebody stabbed me in the neck with a knitting needle. Whatever. That's what where my head went, my screwed up head. Whatever. So, what I was saying was, I have all those little tiny skeins from Dollar Tree, and like the little velvet skeins or whatever, and I can, you know, put those up there, and ones like this, and even some of my niece's wall, if I because I do have some big thick yarns I need to find room on her wall, and I could take some of the kind of plush yarns like this off of her wall and put in this net thing, because it wouldn't add a whole lot of weight. But I do have a lot of these kind of skeins, and like this there's a shelf under here, like the one underneath it has a lot of these kind of yarns too, so that might be a good place to put those. And so I went ahead and got that. It was only $3 at Goodwill, so I went ahead and got that. And then I went back to Hobby Lobby for a second time, you know, looking, and so they didn't have the yarn ready or anything. And in my second trip, I noticed that in the flowers they had, because I've talked in my videos that Dollar General had this like pre-made, or what is it called, mass-produced crochet stuff, and how I don't really want to support that. And I walked in there, and like from far away I thought, oh, those are kind of pretty. But then the more I thought about it, I thought, all that stuff that they had, and I took pictures of it, I'll put it in the video, but they have in the flowers in Hobby Lobby, they have all of these like crocheted flowers, or like some of them look like little amigurumi on sticks. Of course they have those Highland cows and all that kind of stuff, but they have all kinds of crocheted stuff on sticks that I guess you would put in like a flower arrangement, and some of them are flowers, and some of them are like little amigurumi things, or that you would put in like a vase of fake flowers to kind of decorate it. And yeah, they're really pretty, but at the same time I was thinking, God, these are really cheap. I mean, that's good. I'm a cheap person, and like I can appreciate how cheap they are, but at the same time, I'm also a crocheter. I know what the amount of work that goes into making that kind of stuff, and it just kind of it bothers me, not just because I'm wondering, like, you know, who got paid to and how little did they get paid to make that stuff, where did this stuff come from, all that kind of stuff. But like on the other hand, I'm also thinking, like, how can anybody compete with those prices? Like even the sticker price is something that, you know, a crocheter wouldn't be able to compete with. I don't make that kind of stuff, but I know that the amount of work that probably goes into that. And I know people make money with their crochet, you know, craft fairs or whatever, on that kind of stuff. And I'm looking at those prices, I'm thinking, who can compete with that? But then also knowing that even the sticker price is something that somebody can compete with. But at the same time, this is the spring stuff, and I think the spring stuff is like 40% off. So it's even cheaper than the sticker price. So like, how can anybody compete with that stuff? It just sort of feels kind of like shitty for Hobby Lobby of all places to sell that kind of stuff. I mean, I know that it's more of like for people that don't really think about that kind of stuff, or don't have the skills to make that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like, Hobby Lobby is the store that that sells the stuff to make that stuff. If their business is geared towards, I know it's not just geared towards, you know, crafters and stuff, but it is like a craft store. And if they sell the yarn to make that kind of stuff, that knowing that people are going to use their yarn, like support their business, buy their yarn, and use it to make things and sell it, then it just sort of feels like they're, you know, selling something that they know that some of their loyal customers are selling to, that they can't compete with. Now that, you know, they're selling all this, like, you know, mass-produced crochet stuff, as pretty as it is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's really pretty and all that, and it's an affordable price, especially for a cheap person like me. But I just feel like, I can imagine what it must feel like for a crocheter who makes that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't, but I can imagine what they must feel like walking through there and maybe not even wanting to support Hobby Lobby, but feeling like, you know, this is my only option in my area, or I'm looking for clearance yarn like EG does. I want to get me some clearance yarn, and so I can make my stuff to sell at my craft fair. And they walk through there, maybe begrudgingly, and then they get the yarn and stuff, and then they thinking, well, at least I can, you know, make some stuff, and hopefully I'll make a little bit of money. And then they walk by that stuff, and what must, like the gut punch that they must feel by walking by all that stuff and thinking, God, I make a flower and it takes me like, you know, 2 hours to make a flower, and, you know, weave in all the ends and stuff, and put it on a stick or like whatever. And then I feel like, you know, I have to, you know, charge like $20 for this flower, and then I walk through there, and then Hobby Lobby has one that's basically like exactly the same thing like I make, except they're selling it, you know, for $4.49 with its 40% off, and so it's even cheaper than that. Like, what that must feel like, you know. So I hate even like putting the pictures out there, but I just wanted to show you, like, yeah, that they look really pretty and stuff, but at the same time, me personally, I'm not going to support that, as pretty as that stuff is. Like if I wanted to buy that kind of stuff, because I'm probably not going to make that kind of stuff, or at least like the little amigurumi kind of things, and they do have some keychains in other parts of the store that are like that are crocheted. Like if I wanted a crocheted flower, like the first thing I would think was, okay, am I going to make that? And I would think, okay, no, I'm probably not going to make that. It's going to be too complicated. Like the pattern has like, you know, 57 rows or whatever, and it would be too complicated. Or I have to do all these increases and decreases, and now I have to find a stick. Like I would think, okay, so where can I buy it? I wouldn't think, oh, maybe Hobby Lobby will have one really cheap. I would think, okay, I know that there's a craft fair coming up on like a Saturday or something. I'm sure that they have like a vendor there that would have it, and there's like an antique store that has some crocheted stuff. Maybe I can look there. Like I would think, what's independent artist, what, you know, independent crocheter or whatever around here, what, you know, artists around here. Or like I have that little thrift store in my town that has that little craft corner. I would think maybe there's something in that craft corner. There's an art store downtown on my main street that has all kinds of like handmade stuff. Like that's where I would think to go first. I would never think that, oh, maybe I can go into Dollar General and get a little keychain that looks like an avocado that's, you know, $2 a piece, or like whatever it is, $3. Or maybe I can go into Hobby Lobby and find some of that stuff, and like really cheap. Like I would never think that. And I mean, I know that most people don't think about that because they're not artists and crocheters and stuff. So it would be very easy for them to just like, oh, look how pretty this is. I'll get this for my granddaughter. And like they don't think about, you know, what it takes to make that, and how much the person was probably paid, or how little they were paid, and how somebody is trying to make a living making this stuff, and, you know, that has the passion to make all this stuff, and you know, puts a lot of work into it, and buys the yarn, and you know, makes it, and has to weave in all the ends and all, and wants to sell it at a craft fair, and then they get shitty looks from people, like looking at them like, $20 for a flower? I can get that in Hobby Lobby for, you know, $4.49 or whatever it is. Like that's what kind of sucks about it. So that's why I'm not going to buy any of that stuff, even though like I would love to buy like a really pretty flower for my mom and a really pretty flower for my niece or whatever that they would love, and it's crocheted and stuff, but I'm just not going to do it. And if you do, I'm not going to judge you. Like if you're watching this, you're probably not going to be the kind of person that would buy that stuff, because, you know, you're a crocheter, you're interested in yarn and stuff, and you want to physically make things, and if you can't do it, or if you don't have the desire to make something like that, like amigurumi, you would know that, oh, maybe there's somebody like an artist around here that I can buy that from, and you would want to support an artist or whatever. So I'm not really talking to the people that are watching this channel, but like I know that there are people out there that are just like people that see that stuff, and maybe they're not crafty, and they want to buy their little grandchild or their niece or nephew or whoever, you know, something kind of like a little stuffed animal thing, or you know, like some grandparent or, you know, parent or aunt and uncle or whoever that, you know, that loves the kid in their life, and they see something like that in the store, and they think, oh, I bet, you know, so and so would love this. I'm gonna go ahead and buy this. And doesn't even have the thought of like, maybe I can make it, or maybe I can buy it from somebody who does make it and spends a lot of time making it. Then, you know, I can't really judge those people because they don't really think about that stuff. But, you know, if we're crocheters and we're crafters and stuff, and we know that the kind of work that goes into that stuff, we probably shouldn't support that stuff. You know, try to find it from like an independent artist, or make it if you're into that kind of stuff. But I don't know, it felt kind of crappy seeing all that stuff in there, and just knowing how cheap it was. Because like when I saw that sticker on it, I was thinking, that's really cheap. And then I saw that big sign up there, and I thought 40% off of the spring stuff. So it's 40% off, so it's even cheaper than the sticker. Oh, God, like I don't know how I would feel if I made that kind of stuff for a living. I mean, it would be like walking through there and to get yarn, and then you're seeing like a bunch of racks with like crocheted blankets. And like these are only $20, and but they're discounted this week. They're only they're 40% off. You know how that would feel, because you know how much work goes into making a crocheted blanket, the hours crocheting a blanket, and all the money for the yarn. And then if you walked in there and you saw like a really cheap crocheted blanket, I mean, it's not like when you go through Goodwill. Like if it's donated to Goodwill, then that's one thing. But like for a store like Hobby Lobby or any kind of craft store or whatever to mass produce something like that and sell it for cheaper than anybody could ever sell their own work for. I don't know. I mean, I know that handmade stuff is, I'm just like sort of rambling here at the end of this video, if you're even watching at this point. But I mean, I know that handmade stuff is always going to be more expensive and stuff, and and a big part of the money is going to supporting the local artist or whatever that you handmade this stuff. It's always going to be more expensive, and there's always going to be things that they're going to be mass-produced things that compete with that. But it's just kind of crappy for it to end up at Hobby Lobby of all places, because they sell the. I mean, it would be different if like if Kmart still existed and they were selling like crocheted stuff. It's like they didn't really sell yarn that I remember, and so it wouldn't be like, oh, they weren't competing with their customers. Like that's what it sort of feels like. Like Hobby Lobby is sort of competing with their customers, because the customers are the ones that go in there and buy. Like if they're going to sell yarn, like don't sell stuff made from yarn that competes with the people that go into your store and buy the yarn to make the stuff that they're going to sell. You know what I'm saying? That it's just, I don't know. It just feels kind of. It's awkward for me to even talk about it. I don't even know how to, because I'm not a very well spoken person, but I'm just sort of speaking like as a crafter and a crocheter and stuff, and how it just makes me feel, and how I just don't want to support that, because it just doesn't feel right for Hobby Lobby of all places to sell that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I went in there the second time and I saw that stuff and got pissed off and or whatever, and then I went home and had my coffee and dinner and stuff. Then I went back out, and then that's when I saw the cart of yarn. And if I didn't put the picture in the video earlier, I'll put it in here now. But I saw that a cart of yarn, and I took a whole bunch of pictures stupidly, which I'm going to stop doing. I need to stop doing it, like even looking for the cart for one thing, but like taking pictures that I can like zoom in on, and like I shouldn't have even known that Crafter's Secret acrylic skein was in there. I shouldn't have even known that that I missed out on that. I should just go in there and see, oh, the remnants is empty, so no yarn today, and just like walk out and not even worry about it. But that's just what I need to do. I need to just go in there and just have fun and just not be so particular about like looking for the yarn and like planning my whole schedule around looking for it and like all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Like going in there so many times and looking for the yarn. I just need to go in there like a couple times and just have fun finding it. Like I do, when I find it at Goodwill or other places, or I don't know, like it sort of feels like my ancestors. I must have been descended from like a bunch of like hunter gatherers or whatever you call it. Just like this urge in me and this desire in me to like like the hunt for the yarn and stuff. It just sort of feels like I'm descended from a bunch of ancestors that were hunter gatherers or whatever it was. Just the way I go in there all the time and look for yarn, and I'm getting it, and I sort of feel like that, like a hunter gatherer or whatever. Because when I first started finding all that yarn, it was so much fun to like go in there, and then it like the shock and surprise when I walked in there and there was more yarn. Like it was like such a shock, and it was just so much fun. And it's just knowing when it's going to be in there, and like planning my schedule around it, and going in there multiple times and stuff, and like going back and like intentionally staying out, just pop in again, and like and knowing that they're putting yarn in a cart. Hopefully I can get a shot of it later on, and hopefully they're gonna clearance it, and if they don't, maybe I'll get a shot. Like all that kind of stuff. It's taking a little bit of the fun out of it. I mean, it's not taking the fun out of buying the yarn and the fun of like finding it clearance and stuff, but it's kind of taking the fun out of it. Just all the awareness and all the information that I have, and like what days that like I wish I didn't know all that stuff. I wish I could just like go in and just like pop in and think, oh my god, Mom, you're not gonna believe this. I walked into Hobby Lobby and there was like 18 skeins over there in the remnants again. Like this is just crazy. This is what I'm saying. I just want to keep this like a fun thing for me, and I mean it's still fun, but when I know that what I missed out on, that's when it's getting to be a little less fun. So hopefully I'll get some more yarn. Hopefully I'll I'll be surprised that I actually got somewhere. The people watching my videos and stuff aren't going to be surprised if I say, oh, I got another yarn haul from Hobby Lobby. But at least, hopefully, I will be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised at this point, as much yarn as I've gotten there. But you know what I'm saying. Hopefully, I will be surprised. I'll be the only one. No, you won't be surprised if I say, oh, guess what? I got another haul. But whatever. And hopefully, I'll keep it fun for myself. How many times have I said that? I've said it like 15 times in this video. God, if I repeat myself one more freaking time in this video. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and the many points that I made over and over and over and over again in it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.